This is the Escape Podcast for Star Wars The Old Republic. This week, BioWare has revealed all of the 5.10 updates around guild leveling, conquest, and guild perks, so we're going to spend quite a bit of time at least skimming through that. I think there's way too much to get through in one night, but we'll at least hit them at a high level, and then maybe in future episodes we'll dig into each one of them in more detail. This broadcast aspect tonight is EPC 267. And playing alongside me is Seema. Hi, Seema. How's it going?
It's going pretty good, Max. Let's see. Snow is supposed to happen here tomorrow. We've had a couple of little snow flurries already, but we're supposed to get our first, measurable storm tomorrow. I guess it's been traveling northwards, hitting all kinds of guildies along the way, and we're supposed to get it tomorrow. But all my devices are charged, and I have some non-power requiring stuff that I need to get done tomorrow if it comes to that. So I'm all set. I have plenty of coffee, and
do you have water?
I'm not,
Do you have water next to your keyboard?
Yes, I have water.
But not
Don't
next
have
to
any
your
water
keyboard,
next to
do
my
you?
keyboard. No.
That's a story for another time. Why Seema is not allowed herself to keep any more liquids next to her
because apparently I have
keyboard.
a drinking problem. Yeah, I've knocked my drink over like 3 times this week. So, yeah, and it was water, luckily, but still, it's not pleasant when it happens. But in game, yes, I've been doing, like every week, doing quite a bit of conquest. But I did notice this week, and I wanted to just touch on it, is that I do have this pattern where I get my last character done on Saturday or Sunday, and then I do kind of take Monday and Tuesday off, a little break, and I can either do other things in game or, I don't know. I actually sometimes go to the outside. I know that's amazing, but I do that sometimes. But yeah, so like a break from conquest is good, so that's why I brought that up.
Excellent.
Then I have a note here that says, "Then I never." I have no idea what that means.
Same with me, Seema. Well, I never.
Yes, although I did pull out one of my DVL characters who's a Sork, and put the experience armor on her, so I was running around. And it's funny because she's not madness, she's the other one, telekinesis or whatever, and I'm like, why isn't this working? Why is she doing these weird things when I press buttons? I'm like, oh, that spec. So that was kind of fun to do. So running rampages on her.
Yeah, interesting.
But yeah,
I don't think I could do that, because it's hard enough for me to switch to even between the same spec, but between Republic and Imperial, because there's still the animations are different, and even if I keep all the buttons in the same place, at least I can use my muscle memory to play it. But if I was switching specs too, then I'd get totally lost.
I mean, I was kind of worried. I almost didn't do it because her Nico companion is influence level 1, and she also does. She's like level 50 something, but she doesn't have a ship. But you know what? When the rampage is on Nar Shaddaa, it's really easy to kill stuff there. So it didn't matter that Nico was influence 1. It just went just as fast as it does on all my other characters. Yeah, so it's just fun to pull something out of mothballs every once in a while, try something different.
Yes.
We had a really interesting MFN this week where we tried to do 16-man Karaga's Palace with 11 or 12 people, and we actually got the first boss down, which I thought was a good indicator, but then it was hard to do Jargon's Thorn with only, if you have 2 healers, well, we only had 1 tank too, but it's not enough people actually hitting the bosses for them to die fast enough. So
especially since we're typically doing that Tuesday night thing with people that haven't ever been in there or only been in there once or twice.
Yeah.
I mean, if it was 12 geared people, sure, they could knock it out. But
Corey, a guildie, was tanking, and he did a noble effort, but we just couldn't kill them fast enough. So we went and did various rampages around the world, and when we killed the Republic guards and robots on Tatooine, which that's something we'll is getting removed from Conquest, so we won't be doing that anymore. But we're going to talk about that later.
Yes.
So yeah, that was kind of my week. How about you, Max?
Well, I will talk about what my week was like, but first, I want to introduce two guests we have on tonight. So, with
Yay!
5.10 and all of these conquest and guild leveling and guild perk changes that are coming in, we wanted to bring on two experts from our own guild to talk about that. So, first up, let me say hi to Zen. Zen, how are you doing and what have you been up to this week?
Hi Max, hi Seema. I'm doing pretty well, thanks. Been having a pretty good week up until the last couple of days when I've been too busy to really play much. Um, Monday night I run with the Soldiers of Light team, and we had a fill-in tank, a player called Kurtek who hasn't played with us very much,
Cool.
and we were able to finish Dread Palace with him for the
Nice.
first time. So it's always good when you get somebody to go through a operation for the first time, and always great to have people who are willing to fill in at the last minute. So that was really great.
Yeah, and to
And then we
get through
also
that in one, in just a couple hours, the first time you've ever tanked it, that's a good challenge because that's
Yeah.
you know what? I just
yeah,
knocked over my cup. Liquid,
It's it's catching.
it's the latest trend.
and that was wow. That was I don't know how I did that. Okay, yeah, but it had a lid, so I didn't really spill very much. Sorry.
So also on Monday night we found Ulgo Siegebreaker on Alderaan, and we
Oh,
decided to
did
kill
you?
him or her and get some conquest points. So
Oh,
between
good.
Dread Palace and Siegebreaker, I got an extra 12,500 conquest points, which I wasn't really expecting, which meant that I had to get that character to go in addition to
Right.
the other characters I had planned. So I got 7 characters to go, which were great. But
Yeah, it is.
2 of those characters are lower level ones that only one of them could do the old run heroic, and the lower level one couldn't even do that. And yes, neither of them have their ships, and I've actually decided not to even start the first conversation with these two. So we'll see how long that will last. But it's been a bit of fun running with those two.
Excellent. Excellent. All right. Well, that sounds good.
Yeah.
And then our second guest tonight is BC. BC, how are you doing and what have you been up to?
Hey Max, hey Seema. Thanks for having me. Like Seema, I've been spending a little time in the real world where the graphics are pretty awesome. And, and in game, I've been, like Zan, getting lots of tunes to Conquest Goal every week to stockpile CMTs for after 5.10 lands. And I've been finishing the story on my assassin so I can experience the Imperial SWTOR storyline on Osis. A lot of people talked about wanting an Empire and a Republic storyline that were different, a little bit like on McKeb. And one of the things that I'm most excited about with 5.10 is that we effectively get 4 storylines because there's the Loyalist and Saboteur storylines on either side. And my assassin, having started out as a slave, is particularly suited, I think, for sabotaging the Empire from the shadows. So I'm
Nice.
excited about that.
Yeah, I heard the Overmaster Harkin. I heard he called you a slave once or twice or 75 times throughout the story.
Still haven't forgiven him for that. I'm going to make him pay.
No, and you really can't. You can't even, I mean, spoiler, not spoiler. You can't make him pay in the storyline, which I was quite disappointed in. Why would you not go back and kill that guy? Excellent. Well, that sounds awesome, and that brings it to me. I've been dodging snowflakes this week, much too early in the year to.
It does
have
feel early,
snow.
doesn't it?
Last week we had an inch and a half of snow. This week now,
Oh my
since I got
God.
back, I was out of town a couple days. I came back to to a little bit of snow flurries, and then I drove downtown this morning in what felt like it was a little bit of a blizzard, and came back to snow on the ground this afternoon. I am not all that happy about that. But Chicago weather, it'll probably be 60 degrees in January. So whatever. We'll and then it'll be 0 degrees the next day. So who knows what the winter's actually going to be like? But it's early. Some years we go all the way till we wonder if it's going to be a white Christmas. We're singing
Right.
the I'm Dreaming of a White Christmas song, and it has not snowed that year yet, but that has not happened in recent history. In game, I have been doing, we'll talk a little bit about what we did on Saturday night, which was pretty fun. If you heard us the last few podcasts talking about SWTOR Unite, that did actually happen. That was interesting. I've certainly been doing more in Conquest, and glad I've got our 2 Conquest planners in here today. They are the ones that help me figure out what I should be doing and lining up the things that we can do to get points. But yeah, I got a bunch of my Republic characters through Conquest last week. And then, I was out of town for a couple days, but I did get back in and got to run with the ops team tonight a little bit, and did some crazy stuff. And what did we do? We killed the commander. We killed the commander. We ran through Karaga's Palace for conquest points, got 7,500 points off of that. And then we tried to find world bosses. You guys claim you found a world boss. I don't believe it. There are no world bosses anymore. They've taken them out of the game. So
Yeah, we looked at for quite a few of them.
Yeah. We went to all the maps, the PvP and the regular maps on Tatooine and on Nar Shaddaa. And there were nada. And not even like groups standing around like they just killed it or something. They're just all gone. So that was frustrating. And it's not even, Tuesday night, forget about it. But by later in the week, you'd hope that you could start getting them, but no. They are just gone full time now.
It can be really hit and miss. For example, last week I was on really late. I finished work late, and I was running heroics on Alderaan just by myself, and someone popped up in general chat saying, "We're forming a group. We'll go Siegebreaker's up. Who wants in?" And so I pugged We'll go Siegebreaker at about 2 a.m. in the morning. And got the conquest points for it. So it can be really hit and miss.
They do respawn. There is a little bit of a respawn timer on them. It's not a day. I think it's a couple hours. I don't know exactly what it is, but it's not minutes either. So you'd think that you'd be able to hit across all of the maps. You'd be able to hit them once in a while at least. I could see in the off times being able to hunt them down. We're typically looking in prime time, which probably isn't the best idea either. But that's been it. So I've been having fun with that. But I also have been keeping an eye on the news. So why don't we talk a little bit about what we have seen in the news?
Now an Imperial News Network report.
So to kick it off in terms of game news and news from BioWare, we're mostly going to skip that. So we're going to go into detail into some quite large posts that they put in the dev tracker, which explain some of what is going into the updates around guild leveling and conquest changes and guild perks. In addition, they talked about which of those pieces are currently active on the PTS, and they had a live stream today, which they reiterated some of the things in those posts. And did a little bit of Q&A.
Yes.
So we'll talk about most of that in our main segment, but I did want to mention that we would. I do want to announce, though, in guild news, and another reason we have Zen and BC on is from time to time, AIE as a guild looks for jobs that we need done. So this is how we add officers in Alea Iacta Est, and it's across the community. Every time we add an officer, it's across the entire community, and all of the officers across all of the games act together as a group and review the roles and jobs that we have, who we might need to perform those roles, in what games, and how that works. been going through some evaluation of how the guild is working in Star Wars lately, and the whole metagame around conquest and guild activities related to that has kept our guild active even through the past couple years of, as we all know, not all of that much PvE type content, which is mostly what our guild does. Not all that much type of PvE content available. So we're going to continue to be focused on that. And with 5.10 coming, we even need more focus because we're going to need to invade earlier in the week. We're going to need to recalculate how we go after conquest and what our targets are going to be and figure that out sooner. And we're going to have to be tracking and organizing how we want to be handling guild perks. So we identified, and we usually like to do it in pairs. We said, okay, well, we need a couple people to handle conquest in a more structured way. And you probably can understand where this is going. So
Yes.
everyone, please join me in welcoming BC and Zen as our two newest officers. So congratulations, guys,
Yay.
or condolences, as many of the officers
Yes,
are.
congratulations to us for having you.
Yes.
Thanks, Max. Thanks, Seema. I've heard that there'll be Tim Tams, so that's definitely a benefit.
That's a plus.
I think if there are going to be, you all are going to need to be in charge of it as the newest officers, for one, and two, as the Australia contingent across, not the only Australian officers across the guild. Now that I think about it,
No, because we have Ashayo.
yeah, Ashayo, one of our original guild founders and one of the council members across all the games, plays from Australia currently. So you guys can catch up with Ash.
That's great.
But yeah,
thanks for having me as an officer as well. It's
yeah,
looking forward to helping out the guild.
yes, and you're gonna start tonight by helping us figure out all this all this guild stuff. All right, so that's the officer announcement. What else do we have just in regular guild stuff to talk about, Seema?
Well, a reminder that in November we are having our mega. It's most likely going to be on the November 30th. In fact, you can probably plan on that. And I think it's going to be fun, so I think you should come.
I heard.
I promise nobody will die.
Well, do not
Wait a
promise that. or lies, deceit are tools of the Sith.
They're tools of the SEMA.
I would put money on everyone dying at some point. I think that's more the way things are going to be.
I've heard it both ways.
I've heard it both ways. The right way and then yours. Both ways.
Right. Also, planning is already started for the December. We are going to have one in December, even though December is a holiday-ridden month where attendance for any type of event is traditionally challenged. But we're going to do it for everyone who's around. I'll be around. And it's going to be a fun little thing.
Yes, it will. So the pitch for the November mega that I heard was, it's like Where in the World is Carmen Sandiego, but instead of the world, it's the galaxy. Instead of Carmen Sandiego, it's SEMA.
Right.
So
right.
that might give you a hint on sort of how things are going to look for that one.
And it's perfectly safe.
Negative Ghost Rider.
Very suspicious.
In community news, so Saturday there was a little bit of a community event. Not an entire community event, but a couple of the podcasters out there, Marcus, one of our officers, who's got a relatively new podcast, decided it would be fun to connect up with all of the other podcasters that he's been meeting as he sort of kicked off his podcast. And he said, wouldn't it be cool if we all got together one night and did an operation and then streamed it and showed it off and gave away a bunch of prizes? That was what happened on Saturday. We've been talking about it for a couple weeks. It was called SWTOR Unite, and a bunch of the podcasters, some, a good number of them who had never been in there before, went in and to Gods from the Machine and got as far as we could in Gods from the Machine, which was all the way to just within the 2 hours that we were doing it, all the way to Isaac's, 2 attempts on Isaac's, including completing the fight all the way to the giant orange circle at the end, and Chill being the last person standing, even though that was the first time he had ever been in there, getting all the way to the corner off of the orange circle, but not, still being down at low enough health. He only had like 15% health left and couldn't survive the little bit of AoE damage that, even though he was off the circle, still got hit. So it was nearly complete, and so close, about as close as you can possibly get. And great job, Chill, for being a pro on all of those fights throughout the night. And everybody did really well. We one-shot half of the fight, so that was great. Needed a couple attempts on a couple fights. The other crazy. You spilled something on your keyboard that night too, didn't you, Seema?
Yeah, I did.
Lots of.
I'm telling you, I have a drinking problem.
No, you have a problem that's preventing you from drinking, which is worse.
Yes.
So that was SWTOR Unite. There are replays and live streams out there that you can check out. Go find them, and it was pretty cool. So that was that. Anything else, Seema?
Oh, yes. One other thing, and that is shout out to the chat room. Thank you guys for being here for us and helping us get set up every time, and we do love you. So thank you for coming. Yes,
absolutely. Chat room is a big reason we continue to do this show. Definitely the reason we bother to do it live. It's a little more effort, but it makes it a lot more fun for us, and the chat room is a big part of that. And then, shout out to all of you out there that are listening. The other reason we do this is to get connected to more cool people out there who might be listening or know other people that should be listening, and get them connected to us, and in particular get them connected to our guild, Alea Iacta Est. You got cool officers like Zen and BCAV helping everybody get their conquest targets. Come check us out. Come play on Starforge, aie-guild.org. I usually wait till the end of the show to do that little shout out, but might as well throw it in the beginning or middle, wherever we are right now. Boy, we're about 20 minutes into the show. All right. So since we are 20 minutes into the show, I hear the game is changing, isn't it?
Game changer.
Game changer.
Game changer.
Game changer for.
Game changer for the industry.
Yes, I pulled out the game changer for this. And as I said in sort of the kickoff in the news, the way I feel Conquest has evolved is a really viable meta, almost player-created content meta game system in the game that's allowing people to stay connected, to play and have weekly goals and have a reason to log in and have a reason to play with their guildies, even if the rest of the core content of the game isn't changing as rapidly as we would want. And we've gotten a lot out of it. I mean, I can't believe it. And you guys can chime in, but I've been really surprised that we keep hitting large target on the side that we're going. It was my expectation that once in a while we would hit large target, and then we would switch back to like medium target on one side and small target on the other, because we're always doing two sides and we're flipping back and forth. How about you? So BCAV, to start. Did you expect us to continue to be hitting large target every week? I mean, did you foresee that, or what was your perspective?
We
as far as
started out just aiming for medium, and then what seemed to happen was more and more people who were already in the guild started to catch the fever because other people were really enjoying it, and then other folks who weren't part of the guild especially over the summer when their content was focused mainly on PvP, people from other places would join the guild because they could see that we were getting the rewards, and the guild started to grow, participation continued to grow, and we found it challenging to get to large yield in May. So we would only hit large yield back in May when there was an unlimited crafting week. But then we hit large yield pretty much every week now, even if there's not unlimited crafting. So it's not just been a way to keep people occupied, but it's really led to increased participation, and everyone having a common goal to work towards has been really encouraging to see everyone enjoying the game and working together.
Yeah, I agree. We used to only hit large targets when it was repeatable crafting, and we tended to have a couple, some awesome guildies, but a couple people that would really carry us. I mean, and you guys included. You guys were always a huge part of it. And then there was like Sakic, who would be putting up millions of points on his own. But since then, and really with both of your guys' help and guidance, everybody has been able to really get into it and figure out what they need to do and optimal ways to get those points up on the board. So if people don't know, one of the things that BC is known for in our guild and in the community is the spreadsheet that he's put together that outlines week to week what all of the conquest objectives are, and the spreadsheet is designed to be able to allow you to say, here are the number of characters I want to achieve objectives on. These are the objectives I want to achieve. This is what my stronghold bonus is. How can I optimize to achieve my target? Which is really cool and awesome, and used now across the community. If you look at, so I just put up a blog post. It may not be showing on the front page of our website right now. I'm working on that separately. But if you look at my Twitter feed, at Max the Gray, I've got a link to a blog post announcing Zen and BCAV on aie-guild.org. There's a link to that spreadsheet in that blog post that announces them as officers, for one. So that's been a useful tool. And then second, and this is another reason I thought that both of you worked so well together, is then you'd have Zen teaming up with BCAV, and so BCAV would sort of lay out this overall strategy of here's the top things you should be thinking about for the week, and then Zen would take on the tactical aspect of that, which would be then from day to day. Hey, here's some things that, remember to be doing this thing today. Remember to be creating your invasion force today. And in order to create an invasion force, you need one of every war supply. And I've made all the war supplies. And I put them in the guild bank. So all you guys need to do is take one of each out of the guild bank right now and make an invasion force. Go do it. And it's that kind of thing that was, that's been driving us to large target as well. So Zen, what's your perspective on sort of the tactical, and I mean, I know we still don't have everybody listening to you and making their invasion forces every day, but how's that worked out?
Well, I think Marcus has only made one so far this year, so looking forward to him picking up his game a little bit. But Conquest is one of those things that it's really hard for just one or two people to do it alone. You really need a lot of people doing at least a little bit each week, and then it really benefits everybody that participates. When we hit a large yield, we get some really valuable materials. Plus, we have some fun along the way. So I think that it's one of those things that the more we do it, the more people will enjoy it. Back in the old conquesting system, I was actually part of a conquesting guild for a short time before AIE, and it was really almost like a factory, just people pumping through points and that, and it got a little bit impersonal. So I think it's great that we're doing large yields, but I don't think we need to be, top of the rankings every week. That's not really our goal, I don't think. I think we really want to just get
That's a good
together,
point.
have fun,
Yeah.
and occasionally maybe we can win a planet like we did with
Balmora.
Balmora.
Yeah, I still wear that title, Conqueror of Balmora.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you're right. You're right. That is a good point. We are not, although it's weird to say because we hit a large target every week, and this is the main thing we seem to be doing. We are not a conquest guild. So if you're a conquest
Right.
guild, then yes, you're trying to win planets, and you're racking up all these points, and you're doing some some special tricks, tips, ticks, and trips. Tips and tricks to almost game the system a little bit, like holding lockouts for an operation and then cycling in other characters so that a bunch of alts get complete the operation for the day and that kind of thing. We don't go there, and we don't win planets as a result, but we're fine with that. And I like how we're doing
some
it.
of those conquest guilds have like requirements. Like if you don't hit your goal for the week, you get booted from the guild, and you have to reapply to come back in on that character, and so on. You might even have to pay a deposit to the guild bank every week. I don't think we need that.
Yeah. We certainly don't, because we play for fun, and we're having fun doing it the way we're doing it, and still hitting large
I
targets.
heard the fun is mandatory, Max.
On Tuesday nights, the fun is mandatory.
On specific
It
night,
is.
yeah.
It is not fun it is not mandatory on the other nights, but we still have it.
It's still recommended.
Yes, it's still recommended. Okay, but let's get into some of the changes. So let's start with the guild leveling. So the first post that they posted in this series of 3 this week focuses on guild leveling. So in Game Update 5.10, they said they're going to add this progression system for the guild. The guild levels are earned via conquest points, and that is all of the members in your guild. As the members earn conquest points, that contributes to the guild conquest total, and that's what progresses your guild through levels. There will be a weekly guild XP cap. There will be guild ranks, then actual levels that your guild will be leveling up, but you won't be able to level it all up right away. There will be a curve, so it gets slower and slower and slower as you level up over time. The title of this podcast tonight is Our Guild Goes to 11. That will be the level that we will strive for. Although I almost want to get to 11 and then stop. But
Yes, right.
it sounds like to me that Seema, am I reading it right, that the guild levels will continue indefinitely, but the perks that you're earning as you hit different guild tiers stop at 65?
Yeah, yes, that's how I read it too. That you'll continue to earn the guild commendations, which is the currency that you use in part to buy the perks.
Got it. So that's interesting. I almost wish CXP worked this way, so that command rank, once you hit command rank 300, you would still be gaining ranks, but you would and just getting a pack per rank, but you didn't go above tier 4, because I'd be interested to see where my merc is right now. I like the idea that it would just continue. It'll be a mark of prestige to say, we're guild level, at 79,000 or whatever we're gonna get up to.
Over 9,000.
At each of these tiers, though, you're unlocking various things. So Zen or BC, do you have a perspective on sort of the progress you expect us to make, and what some of these things that we're going to unlock are going to look like?
Well,
Yes.
the
Go
post,
ahead, Zen.
yeah, the post goes up to level 65, and to get the first level, or to go from level 1 to level 2, we need 1 million guild XP. So that would be probably half of a week of conquest. So I'm thinking, we're going to be doing this for
A while.
months. maybe
Yeah.
a year. And it's going to give us something to do until the next major release comes out, and maybe even beyond that as well. And we have to wait and see what the breakpoints are to reach each level. But there's little bonuses along the way, but I don't think any of them are like things that we need urgently. We get 10%, CXP gains at level 51, for example. That'd be nice, but
Right.
So it'll
probably
be a
get that.
while before we get to 51 for sure.
Yeah, I mean, probably early next year sometime, I would say.
So if I look down this list, it looks like there's 3, 6, about 9, 8 possible guild tiers that you can reach. So it's level 6, level 12, level 32, 40, 49, 51, 64, and 65. At each of the ones before 65, you do have a little bit of a guild reward that comes with it, which is either a static perk of its own. So like at guild level 6, guild reaches 10% bonus XP and guild reaches 10% bonus XP and reputation. So I think you get that. Is that stack on top of the current XP bonus that we have, or are they taking the current XP bonus away? I guess we can take a look here in the guild interface.
Yeah, I had a feeling that they were taking it away.
Yeah, I feel like we're going to have to re-earn it,
Okay.
basically.
So that is a little bit rough if they're taking it away, but whatever. So that
It won't take long to get to level 6, I don't think.
no, but the CXP gain, well, that doesn't exist today. So at level 51,
Right.
you get 10% bonus to CXP. So that's nice also. Rep gain is at level 40.
They also say
Yeah.
guild has capped, which makes it sound like you will earn bonuses progressively as you level up. So by level 51, you will have your maximum CXP gain of 10%.
Good catch.
But there will be steps along the way where you gain, 2%, 4%, 6%, or something like that.
Good.
Yeah, that's
good
a good point. I
catch.
was wondering about the wording there.
Yeah. I get that, and I think you're absolutely right. And then at the other tiers, 12, 32, 49, and 64, you're unlocking the tiers of guild perks. So we're going to talk about guild perks in just a second, but you aren't allowed to use these higher tiers of guild perks until your guild levels up, which will also be interesting because there's the guild perk system, which is going to be at the start we'll have limited perks available to us, is what it sounds like. And then finally, the guild commendations. Anyone have any comment on this idea of the guild commendations being a currency and having to continue to earn that currency to be using parts of this guild system? That sounds a little bit annoying to me.
Well, it's good to see commendations come back in new form.
Is it?
Is it though?
I mean,
commendations.
we only like commendations compared to random stuff out of CXP packs, but when we had commendations, they weren't necessarily our favorite thing.
Well, remember we used to have so many different types of commendations, different commendations for every planet, I think.
Yes, yeah, you're right. And if you wanted, leveling gear, then you'd have to like build up commendations, go do heroics on that planet so that you could get some extra commendations. So you get the level 20 blue piece of gear that you wanted for the character that you were leveling. Yeah, I remember doing that.
Yeah, we have currency for every system in the game. And multiple currencies for some. I guess my first take on it is pretty unsophisticated, just not surprised, because that's how they like to do things. I didn't really think beyond that, like the ramifications of it. I don't know that I think it's a way of making it, in a way it makes it more meaningful, because if we could just buy this stuff outright with credits, we wouldn't have to work for it or something.
Well, if it's but if it's
you wouldn't
credits,
have to do a
if
specific activity for it.
yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, I guess it does need to be tied to guild activity in a way. I'm a little worried though if this is all on a curve, and by the time you get to level 65, you have to get, you know, whatever 10 million
Umpty ump million. Yeah.
20
right.
20 million guild XP points to get another guild commendation. By the time you get to that level, you'll have stacked up some commendations, so you'll be able to unlock a bunch of these perks. But then we're going to run out because we're not going to be making, you know, that many a week.
Right.
The
Right.
perks
I
last for a
do-
long
I had-
time, but it's are they going
I
to last
thought
long
about
enough?
that too.
Yeah, so I don't know.
Yeah.
So we'll have to see how that goes. So anybody have any other comments on the guild leveling?
One thought that I had was the way that they've structured it with the leveling continuing after you get to 65 is scalable. And they indicated this in the blog post. One of the things that people always talk about is they touch a part of the game and then it falls into disuse over time. And so it's nice that they've designed it in a way where when they introduce heraldry, suddenly maybe guild rank 100 becomes relevant, because to reach a guild rank 100, you have some sort of heraldry bonus.
Mm-hmm.
And I like the way that they've thought ahead, not just that it's going to take people 6 months to reach level 64, but that there's possible future enhancements and a way to continue scaling it over time.
Sure.
Yeah, I like the fact that they've got a cap, and they specifically say that they expect people to hit that cap. I remember when Galactic Command came out, they said that they set a ridiculously high cap that nobody will ever reach, but you know, it's just there just in case. But of course, somebody went out and
And
took that as a challenge.
Yeah, immediately.
If they didn't have a cap for guild levels per week, there'd be some guild trying to reach 65 on the day that it's released.
Right. And they did say that a guild that typically makes small yield target can expect to be gaining around 3 or so levels a week. So I don't see the incremental increase per level being huge based on that.
So
And-
I was concerned though, Seema, because their math didn't make sense to me. Because they say 1 conquest point equals 2 guild XP.
Oh, well,
and so
Eric,
that means
they
he
talked about
clarify?
that. Yeah, basically what they're saying though is when they look at their data, and they're saying that guilds that typically get the small yield, the conquest they do and all the other activities they typically do will net them around 3 levels or so a week. He didn't mean that you'll get 3 levels if all you do is hit your small goal.
Yeah, I think he was
I
saying
see.
that
Got it.
that on average, even players guilds that only go for the small yield still get quite a few conquest points. More than just the minimum.
Okay.
I'm looking at, for example, this week's invasions. For small, it's 170,000 conquest points, and all the top 10 have got almost double that already. It's only Thursday.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So-
that's a good point.
Yeah, chat room brings up an idea or a concern is that this will be a continued or an additional reason for people to want to be part of a large guild or a guild that's getting a lot of conquest points in theory, because they will potentially be getting higher tiers more quickly, unlocking more perks more quickly, and all that kind of thing. But with those caps, it does, I think, level things out a little bit.
I think it's part of the reason for like you just said, part of the reason for the caps is to even the playing field somewhat.
Right.
I think it will. I think there's no way though that the large guilds won't get it faster. So
Right. I
There.
also think that.
it's a valid concern.
Yeah.
And also, in other games where I've played with systems like this, it makes it difficult to switch guilds. And I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but it does make it different.
because
Like if you
because you don't want to leave the guild that you have that you're in that
Right.
has the current set
Like,
of
for
perks that you
instance,
like.
if your friends come back to the game but they're playing on XYZ server and they say come play with us, but you guys have no guild. So now you're starting at the beginning of the whole guild system
Yeah.
if you want to have your little friends and family guild.
It's like switching over to a new server and not having any legacy, so you don't have any of your
Yeah,
legacy
I mean, I
perks.
don't see it necessarily as a bad thing. It's just a limiting thing. I mean, you'll have to think carefully about making the decision to do that,
Right.
because there's
To be playing
to
without a
lose.
guild, right? You know,
Yeah.
another thing that I thought about, which isn't part of this, but maybe something that they could think about, although there's pros and cons. There are other game systems where, in order to fully take advantage of all of the perks, you need to be you as an individual or you as a character need to have a certain level of reputation within your guild.
Right.
And
Right.
you need to build that over time so that that then also is another limiting factor that would prevent you from doing a bunch of guild hopping, because when you leave a guild and join another guild, you're going to need to build up that reputation over time, and would make people stickier within guilds. Let's talk about the next one. So the next one they put up was called Conquest Changes, and you guys walked me through this a little bit when I was going into this. It was my impression that they would, and I think we haven't seen this in the game yet, because if you go on to the PTS, Conquest isn't actually started. If you try to look and see what the Conquest objectives are, you can't see them. But what I thought was that they would be taking away a bunch of things and changing what's a daily, what's an infinitely repeatable, and what's a weekly objective. But reading the post, and you guys clarified this for me a little bit, it says mostly here are some standard objectives that they're going to be adding so that you have consistency week to week. And these standard objectives are either daily or infinitely repeatable. And this is a sort of a new base set that you can think about. The only one that they explicitly said that they're going to be removing is the one where you go defeat 25 Imperial, 25 Republic guards or champions on a planet or whatever. Which I don't know why in particular they've singled that one out to remove.
They actually mentioned on this stream that
what did they say?
Hardly anybody was doing that.
Really?
So apparently we're the odd one now.
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah.
Which,
I mean, I think it's a good activity, because it's something you can do in a large group
Yeah,
of
that's good for us.
not exactly 8 or 16 without having to wait for a respawn timer.
Right, and you sort of can't do it without it being really, really annoying as a solo player. So it's sort of a reason to be grouped with people and get a group, and I would not have taken it out for that reason. But
I think the other guilds are not having fun, you see.
That's the difference, yeah.
we do have a lot of fun when we go and do that one, don't we? We go and see how many times.
Sometimes people attack us, which is amazing.
And go see how many times Marcus is going to die because he leaps in too soon and draws all the aggro off the champions and that kind of thing. Marauders.
I'm going to CC that one over there in the corner.
And he leaps.
Marcus jumps to it straight away.
Yeah. If you say CC to a marauder,
all he hears is...
they just hear, do you see that one? Yeah, I see it. I'm going to jump right to it.
Right.
So did you see anything interesting in this, Seema?
Yes.
Lay it on me.
I
What did you see?
Okay. So the very first one, complete any chapter, is kind of opens up some stuff for me, because I have like 2 characters that have done all the chapters.
Mm-hmm.
So whenever there's like there's a conquest objective of repeat chapter 5 or whatever, I can't do it on my level 55 sword. Well, I can't do it anyway. That has no ship. But if I could, and I can play through the story and get that Sork up to that point, or I can go and do conquest on a different character. And up until now, I've always chosen to just go do conquest on a different character. That's how I've been spending my time. But since complete any chapter now gives conquest points, I could start to work my thousands of characters up through the chapters
Sure.
and still be doing conquest. So
Yeah.
Yep.
And have a,
and,
have
and
a
I
reason
and
to
I want to
bother.
get to that point anyway for for when we get more story. I want to be prepared for it.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
a good
especially
point.
BC reminded me about the SWTOR storylines as well. So
Yeah, exactly. And the same goes for Eternal Championship, which I actually did a few times when it was new, and I never went back to it. I don't know why. I didn't hate it or anything. I just never did. So there's plenty of achievements and stuff to get in there, and yeah.
yeah, interesting thing about the Eternal Championship is they actually added it to the solo activity finder um,
Oh,
list under flashpoints.
Hmm.
So if you go to solo,
I totally missed that.
I think you might have to have done it already once. If you go to
Yeah, that makes
flashpoints, you should
sense.
see it there, and that will take you straight into the arena, which is kind of silly because then you need to go out and get the weekly
Mm.
quests, but
Interesting.
it's better than nothing.
Yeah, I see it right here.
And I was just checking because BC and I were talking about this before, but you can actually do that in a group. There's two different missions. There's a solo and a solo plus version.
Right.
If you grab the solo plus, I think you can do it in a group. More fun.
Yeah, that is interesting.
Yeah, it's a lot more fun.
That's a great small group activity, like if you got 3 people that just want to do something together or something like that.
Yeah, I wish they would keep defeat Imperial and Republic Guards in there, because I like your point a lot that it's the one activity we can do where you don't have to have exactly 8 people or exactly 16
Yeah,
people.
that's a really good point. Or 4 people. Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah.
So with this...
Yeah. I mean, world bosses are like that too, but like you said, Max, world bosses don't exist.
Yeah, world bosses are a lie. As I look through this and I see that conquest objectives are changing in whatever degree that they're going to be changing, and at a minimum, there's going to be some new things added. BC, how much work do you think you're going to have to do to rework your master spreadsheet?
Update the spreadsheet.
I don't think it'll be too much work. It'll be less than creating it in the first place.
Yeah.
The one that jumped out at me, though, that affects every objective was the very last bullet in the list of changes, where they talk about guilds will now earn a small bonus on all conquest points earned once they've committed to a planet.
Yes.
And then they later announced that was 15%, which means that if you commit to a planet right away, so that the whole week you're earning that extra 15%, the large target goes down from 1,130,000 to effectively 983,000. So that's quite a significant reduction in the amount of points that you need, and might create a situation where more guilds can get over that line every week.
Yeah.
I mean, we've been typically leaving it till late on Saturday, but I mean, like you say, now we have to judge. We don't have to, but we could. There's an advantage to judging on Tuesday whether we're going to go for it or not.
Yes. And we've not been leaving it to try to snipe other guilds and winning a planet, because we don't win planets. We've been doing it because if we didn't think we were going to make large, then we would have bumped down to medium, so at least we get one of those crates and get one charge matter transubstantiator. This, for both of you, that change in particular about the bonuses to invading early, it was one of the key reasons I thought that we needed both of you guys in as officers and in better control over that process. So what was actually happening was BC and Zen were tag teaming, figuring out what we should be doing, setting out the plan for the week, helping people get their objectives, and then manually watching all of the points that we were accumulating throughout the week and seeing if we were going to make a large target or a medium target. And then on Saturday, which we sort of had it blocked out by Saturday by midday, we would be invading a planet then. they would have to then bug the officers to go invade a planet. Now, that is not going to happen anymore. Now what's going to happen is Zen and BC are going to figure out all of the conquest strategy and plan and help people get it done, and just go invade the planet themselves, and we get to kick back and and coast along and go along for the ride.
I'm sure we'll create a consensus among the guild members before we actually decide.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't think.
Yes.
I think the question now is not going to be do we invade large or medium, but when do we invade? I mean, are we going to invade as soon as possible so that we can get the maximum out of the bonus, or do we want to wait, 2 days or something and then invade?
Yes. We're looking forward to your report on that.
Yes. Yeah.
Very
I welcome your
fortunately,
decision.
I've collected 6 months worth of data about our performance over every possible conquest week, which we can use.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Wow.
BC's been great at data gathering and everything, so yeah, we're in good shape for that, I think.
Although all
Thanks
my
to his
bonuses
hard
are
work.
max bonuses, by the way.
Oh
Just
my
so you know.
God.
And I think that BC will be happy once, if we invade on a Tuesday afternoon or something, and he won't have to manually tally up the conquest points each day, because I found that really helpful to have that information, but I know it was probably pretty painful to
Yeah.
add them up every day.
It was very painful. I kept having to wait for BC to do it.
There's
I
was saying it
was
was
happy to
painful
do it. Happy to do it.
there's a
So another
Yes.
point about this bonus is they mentioned its objective was to reduce sniping at the last minute, but they didn't actually completely eliminate that. If you're in a big guild and there are a few people in the guild who haven't conquered one particular planet, which is a small planet, they might still wait until Sunday afternoon or Monday
Yeah.
morning or
I th-
later and
I
invade.
think, yeah.
and just
I think
forego that 15%.
that's part of the game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think that sniping is. I don't think they're that against it.
I think that they would have been better off saying putting a hard date in there, Saturday at midday or whatever. That's the last day that you can actually set the invasion. And in some ways, it might actually make those larger guilds feel emboldened. They might say, well, we forego the 15% so we could snipe this planet, so we're kind of entitled
Right.
to do this now.
Well, I mean, they did move it back. There is a cutoff date, and it used to be right at the end, but then they moved it back to Sunday, whatever it is on Sunday.
Right. Okay.
And so when they did that, though, to me, they sent the message that we're not against the whole sniping thing. We're just making it a little bit, a little bit less snipey. Like you can't come in at the last minute. You have to come in on Sunday and make your intentions known.
Yeah.
Because they could have made it Friday or Thursday or Tuesday, Wednesday.
Which
and that would have,
it used to be. It used to be like Thursday,
yeah,
I believe.
yeah, which then that would eliminate sniping altogether. So to me, that says they don't mind that being part of the strategy, part of the metagame for the larger guilds.
Right.
Well, I just hope next time we're going for a planetary win ourselves, we don't fall victim.
Right. We'll have to keep an eye out. All right. That leads us to the last topic that again is sort of the newest and interesting in its own way, which is the guild perk system. So with guild perks, what they've done is said, okay, here's something that sort of ties to the guild progression, the sort of the guild leveling, and a reason to have a guild ship, and something that allows you to tune the kind of things that your guild is focused on. So what they've done is, if you look at the guild UI here in the game, they've added a tab to the guild interface, which is called perks. It shows 6 possible slots related to your guild ship, and you only have access to those slots if you have those rooms unlocked on your guild ship. And there's some, they're still working out The cost of a guild ship, they've definitely decreased that, and they haven't yet decreased the cost to be unlocking all of those rooms on the guild ship, but they may do that. Regardless, there's a couple that are unlocked automatically, a couple of the bridge ones, and then there's 4 other ones that you need to unlock. And then in each of those slots that are available, if you have that room unlocked, as you click on that slot, you get a list of possible perks. And those perks can be activated by paying a little bit of a cost to slot a perk into that slot. Those perks, I wasn't exactly clear if they all last a month, or it sounded like some of them were potentially shorter term perks than longer term.
Yeah.
Yeah. So some last 28
Yeah,
days.
some of them are just 14 days. Yeah.
You said some are shorter?
Yeah, some are 14 days, some are 28 days. They had a long list, which is hidden in a spoiler section in their blog post, which listed about, I don't know, 30 different perks. And a lot of them have like different versions of the same perk that last different a number of days.
Got it. And they also said that the perks that are available will rotate from time to time, and it might, from week to week and month to month, the kind of perks that are available to slot into your guild ship may change. If you also remembered when we first started talking about the leveling system, as you reach different level tiers of the level of your guild, more perks will become available to you, since some of them are tier 2 or tier 3 or tier 4 perks. But I found some of these perks pretty interesting. So one of the perks, and they sort of alluded to this and talked about it in both the posts, and I think they talked about it a little bit in their Q&A, was there's one perk, and I think it's this one. Yes. So here in the engine room on the guild ship, we're looking at a perk that you can slot into here that costs 750,000 credits and 50 of the guild commendations. And when you slot it in, what it does is, if your guild is level 1 or higher, it unlocks a new flashpoint-based conquest objective. So here's a perk that changes even the list of possible conquest objectives available to your guild, and allows you then to maybe tune, based on those perks that you're choosing, what conquests, how your guild plays, what your guild is focused on, and how conquest can be tuned to better match how you play. I thought that was sort of clever.
That's another update to the spreadsheet, Brett PC.
Absolutely. All combinations must be accounted for.
And they're going to be,
Oh my gosh.
yeah, that's interesting. So they're going to be variable not only over time in is that perk going to always be available or not, and then 2, has your guild slotted that perk or not. So yeah,
because you have to choose between all kinds of other perks.
right. So good luck with that, PC.
I mean, some of them are attractive, like reducing your GTN fees.
Right.
Oh, that's not nearly the best one, Seema.
So what's the best one?
Oh,
What do you
the
like?
best one is new mount skills. Adds a shield / AoE knockback / speed boost ability, usable while mounted.
Yeah. Well, I also like the group resurrection one.
As a healer.
You want to save yourself 7 clicks?
Yeah.
And actually having to find targets, I just click one button. Yeah. And it doesn't even have to be me. Someone else can do it.
That abilities while mounted, though, that does sound pretty interesting. And I wonder how much of that's going to be available in open world PvP. I imagine it would be, right? So you can be like driving around on a planet and see some opposing
because they don't
player
have any way of
and bump, smash into them with your speeder and knock them back, I guess.
Right. Just as you speed by them, you just lop their head off with your
sort of jousting and other new mini games that. Oh, I wonder if there's a way to tweak that and turn that on for your guild, and then add that to a pod racing event where you could be like, adding Mario Kart based, type abilities to be fighting with other players on your mounts while you're racing around a course. That's interesting.
Sounds like a mega type activity.
But there's other ones in here
Yeah.
that are about crafting time,
Getting more yield when you scout, when you harvest nodes.
additional XP for war zones or operations. There's a whole nother class though, both within the perks and then within the set bonuses that you can be unlocking as part of a guild group. I didn't completely understand the whole set bonus thing. I think you had to get
So,
did someone else get it?
yeah, I think I have it. Each type of perk will be of a certain sort of flavor.
Okay.
One of them is fortune. I can't quite read what's on your screen, but you might see when in a tooltip or something.
Prestige, power,
one of-
health, quickness, and luck are the
Okay,
5
yeah.
set bonuses that are currently
Right.
available in whatever either at this time or that they've currently put in the UI interface.
Right. So if you put perks of those types into each position on the guild flagship, you'll get an extra perk.
Got it. So here it says like the luck set bonus. It's in the luck set bonus. If you get the luck set bonus, you increase critical chance by 5%. In addition, increase efficiency and crit chance for all professions by 2%. This effect is not applied in PvP, and they extended that in some of the Q&A and an additional post on the forums. It's both not applied in PvP nor in master mode operations. So there's a bunch of these that affect stats. You can get more endurance when you're in operations. Okay, that's going to make your tank sturdier. You can get more power or healing ability when you're in flashpoints. And then some of these set bonuses, like the power set bonus, also applies. When in a guild group, your basic attack does 20% more damage and grants a companion a power and healing surge whenever the controller uses an adrenal. In addition, grants a small chance of summoning a powerful attack that decimates your enemies. This effect is not applied in PvP. I hope that is not an improper, is a pet peeve of mine, is improper use of the word decimate. Decimate means reduce by 10%. So when you decimate your enemies, it means you reduce their ranks by 10%. It does not mean you destroyed them or obliterated them.
I'm pretty sure that it's an improper use of the word decimate.
I think you don't reduce them by 10%. You reduce them to 10% of their original value.
No, it's reduced them by 10%. So it comes from the Roman
if
legions.
there's 100 of them.
If there's 100 of them, you kill 1 in 10. You go down the line, and 1 in 10 get put to the sword. The rest of the army that you conquered, then you retain and you put under command of your commanders, because you want that fighting force. So this is what the Romans used to do. They would decimate the army as a penalty. Right. They would decimate the army that they conquered that surrendered to them. So
and that's what the word decimate meant back then.
But that's still what it means. It did.
Right now, it means kill, destroy, or remove a large percentage or part of.
No, that's. I mean, 1 in 10 of your fellow comrades being killed in front of you may seem like a large percentage. So I think that's why it feels large. But so, and I
what I really like about these perks is just the wide range. Like all of the examples that we've talked about give a guild a really high degree of customization. So
I like how BC is already putting us back on track.
Yes.
Yeah, I do too.
I was trying to be subtle about it.
That was perfect.
But if you're a PvP guild, you can pick the perks that'll increase your rewards in war zones and GSF. If you're a conquest guild, you can pick the Conquistador #1, which increases your points earned from conquest by 5%, which personally I think every guild should take because it'll make it slightly quicker for you to level up. If you're really into crafting, you can increase crit and efficiency for all your crafting skills. I love the way that each guild can customize it to their play style.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it's a good mix of different bonuses. I think that, if the wall of crazy got thinned out a little bit, by
Yeah.
putting
True.
all these perks in, because they just probably grabbed a whole bunch of different ideas. Wouldn't it be good if we could give people this little bonus or that little bonus?
Yeah, that's interesting. I hope though that there's, in the way that they balance them, that there isn't, as you said, they sort of alluded to, BC. It's probably debatable, but I hope there's nothing that says, every guild's gonna take this one. Everyone must have this, because then that makes it not interesting. Because you want you want there to be trade-offs. You want there to be balance. You want people to be switching back and forth, and you want a lot of diversity across the guilds, tuned to how that guild wants to play it. If it was, if one of the perks was, increase all of your stats, by 10%, across PvP and everything, well, everyone would need to take that, because it would be dumb not to. And then nobody's going to take 1% crit to crafting and not take 10% to all stats. Now that doesn't exist. 10% to all stats doesn't exist, but a couple of these might be slightly overpowered, which might make some of the other perks much less used, if ever. I hope they think about that balance, in tuning these. It looks like they have to some degree, but we'll have to see how it shakes out.
Yeah. In the live stream, they mentioned that they would be monitoring the situation and possibly modifying them as they come in and out of the rotation.
Excellent. All right. Well, we have gone quite a long time tonight. So as we go around and wrap it up, we'll go. Let's go around and any final comments you have on this system, and I will kick it off by saying my final comments are that I'm very glad we have BC and Zen on board to dig into this in detail and figure this out, and maybe we'll bring them back in some future casts as our guild gets into this and as 5.10 gets released, so we can describe how we're taking advantage of the system. So that's mine. Let's go BC, then Zen, then Seema. So BC, what are your closing comments?
I've really enjoyed working towards a common goal with everyone in the guild over the summer and the fall. So I'm excited that now that we have a bunch of guild levels to chase, we have something else to work towards together. And I'm looking forward to working with everyone on that for the rest of the year and into next year.
Excellent.
Yeah, I agree with that completely. It's really quite a fascinating system. There's a lot of depth into it and a lot of variability. So we'll need to play with it a little bit. It's going to be interesting, and we'll see what happens. It's going to be fun along the way, I think.
Cool.
Well, my reaction is I like the depth of it, and as you both have pointed out, all the different choices that guilds can make. I do, because of things that have happened in the past, I have faith too that if something does turn out to be completely mind-bogglingly imbalanced or something, that it'll be tweaked until it's fine. So I am looking forward to it.
Yes. I think they have done a good job. You're right, Seema, of keeping balance and revisiting things over time and tweaking it, in the past, say, 18 months in particular.
Yeah, I feel like they've got it sort of, the player feedback and how to filter it and how to use it sort of down now. I mean, they've really been good about it.
Yep. Okay. Well, as I said again, thanks to all of you. Anywhere we should look for you, BC, online? I put that link out. We can put that out again to your spreadsheet in particular. Anywhere else people should come find you if they have questions?
Yeah, they can find me at Brendan Kavanagh on Twitter or hit me up in the AIE Discord channel.
Awesome. And Zen, how about you?
My Twitter handle is at JediZen_0001. Or hit me up in the Discord channel as well. In and out throughout the days.
Excellent. And with that, I think our EPC 267 droid is ready to jump out an airlock of his own accord to broadcast this episode to all of you. And you can keep up with us on Twitter at Max the Gray and at AIESEMA. And if you know any cool people that should be playing the game with us, as I talked about in the beginning of the show, tell them to come check us out. They can find us at newoverlords.com to find the podcast. They can find the podcast on iTunes. They can find it on YouTube. They can find it on Twitch, twitch.tv/newoverlords. But in particular, you can find our guild at aie-guild.org. Our guild plays on Starforge, both the Republic and the Imperial side. You can get our Discord link off of aie-guild.org. And you can find us in Discord. That's the best place to come find us for an AIE Guild invite, because we would love to have ya. And we will talk to you soon.
Later, everyone.
Bye, guys.
See ya.